Hi everyone, it's Raina. So I was catching up on some of my readings for November, and then I was like I felt like sitting here even though I was done with that and doing another reading, and I didn't know why. And I think I'm going to do the lunar eclipse in Taurus that is happening on November 8th. This is going to be a doozy. And you probably have already been feeling a sense of tension in the air. Now, maybe some of you have been just completely oblivious. We are in Scorpio season, so that can add to the intensity of our experiences as well. But it does feel to me like there is something that is going to kind of explode. Is it going to happen on November 8th? We can't say that because eclipses don't necessarily manifest on that date. I have a whole video on the actual astrology of the eclipse that you can check out on my channel. But, just in terms of how that affects all of us, I suppose some people feel things differently. I personally feel that it really is the time when these things, because they're already coming out, things are already starting to come out. It's just in dribs and drabs. And it's when we pull back, like maybe a year or 2 or 3 from now, and a lot of things have been revealed, that we say, oh yeah, we were already in the midst of it, but we didn't really realize how deep we were into it because we didn't know when it was going to happen. So I'm going to pick 3 cards, and I have 3 piles here. So let me just put these 3 piles here. And I'm going to just pick the top cards in each pile that have to do with what we are coming from. Now, when I say what we're coming from, ultimately, I would say the old world into the new world, the past into the new reality. What's the term that they always use? They use the term the new normal or something like that, but that still sounds like it's in the Matrix. But I'm talking about the kind of life that we were living. And it's funny because 2 of these cards are cards that are associated with family and children. The 10 of Cups is a card of happily ever after. That's the feeling of, just life working the way that you want it to. And then we have the 6 of Cups, and this is kind of the wholesomeness, the innocence of childhood, the sense of simplicity of childhood. And we also have the High Priestess, which means that there is something that is beneath the surface. Now, why is that important? Because these 2 cards really speak to kind of like the innocence, like when we were children, the innocence that we experienced and the joy that it brought to us. And if you came from a family, whatever your background is, that sense of the people that you're connected to and everything that brought. Even if it wasn't a perfect family, you still may have felt safe, that kind of thing. But with the High Priestess, it's like your higher self. It's the inner knowing is that that wasn't necessarily going to last. That wasn't necessarily real. So in other words, it transcends that. Even though both of those are Cups cards and they relate to your emotions, and you could even say that they're connected to spiritual matters because of that, the way I interpret this is that it's kind of a safe space, but it's not that way forever. And we have to deal with that fact. And a lot of people, and I know I did this, it's really funny that I did this, because I would say to myself at the beginning of the shutdown, why can't we just go back to how it was? Even though I suffered before everything shut down, not continuously suffered, but life wasn't perfect before that time. But it felt like everything was so upside down that it was like, why can't we just go back to how it was? I just want it back to how it was. And I remember hearing more than one psychic or energy healer say, it will never be the same again. And that kind of thing, you don't necessarily want to hear that when you're in the throes of that feeling. And it was really difficult. And I know some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. And even, I want to say too, even with the first two cards there, this can relate to the fact that you may have once had an intact family and now you feel estranged from them. Either you're literally not talking to them, or you are keeping your distance because you don't like the way that they have treated you during this time, the last 2.5 years, and you feel like you're in exile. And yet there is that high priestess there, because that high priestess knew that that was not going to be the ultimate. I'm going to leave these here. But let me just to have a little bit of change here. So I'm going to put these up a little bit, and we're going to just pick 3 cards for the current circumstances here. Okay. Once again, I can see 2 cards that are very similar to each other in terms of what that could be connected to each other. And I will talk about them first. It doesn't matter what I talk about. I just realized I put those cards aside, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. So the 2 of Pentacles and the 10 of Wands can be about work matters. The 2 of Pentacles can be that you are working more than one job, or maybe you're going to school because you realize that you have to do something different. A lot of people in the last few years have changed their course of action because of the shutdown, and when they had time off, they really decided that they wanted to do something that they've always wanted to do. And right above the 2 of Pentacles is actually the 6 of Cups. So that can be something that you've always wanted to do since childhood. And maybe that is the key to your sense of finding your correct path, your life, your soul's mission, okay? Or just a passion project in general. Now, this can mean that you're kind of hustling, you're doing what it takes. You have multiple jobs. 10 of Wands can be this sense of a burden, like you're taking on a lot. Maybe your workplace requires that you do the work of more than one person because they're short-staffed. And with these 2 cards together, that may make you very hectic at the moment. Maybe you have come from that transition from the working from home to working in the office, but it feels very hectic, and it feels like you're being asked to do more work than you're getting paid for necessarily. So you might be working more than one job. And then we have the King of Swords. And this in general can be maybe like even shutting down your emotions altogether, like just staying in your mind, which isn't necessarily a good idea, but it is a coping mechanism that some people have to employ because it's just too much to really bear. So if that is the case, really check in with yourself to make sure that you're not so detached that you are denying some very uncomfortable feelings that need to release. Now, at the time of this lunar eclipse, the sun is engaged because this is a powerful full moon and the sun is in Scorpio. And Scorpio rules the 8th house that has to do with purging, with shadow work. So this can be that time where this is something that is very much front and center for you. Okay, we're going to pick 3 cards for the eclipse. Oh, I love it. Boy, do I love that card. Okay, so the first card I got is the 2 of Wands. This may bring up for some of you that you are at a crossroads in your life. Now, specifically with Wands, this can relate to career matters. And we have here similar with work issues. And because it's with Wands, I really do feel it's not just about making money, but it's how you can express yourself the best, what talents you have to bring to the table that are really important for these kinds of things. And in some cases, this could be relocation, that you need to move to a different place in order to feel that you are starting anew. And speaking of that, I have the Fool card. This is 0 point, and we are going to have a solar eclipse in Aries that's happening on March 21st of 2023, and that's going to be at 0 degrees. So I always think of the Fool, I think of April Fool's Day, so I think of Aries too, maybe because it's the first sign, but it's really about doing things our own way too, because we have been led to believe that we had to follow somebody else's path. And that's why I'm not going to pick an additional card because the 8 of Swords, this is about releasing all of those conditioned responses, or that conditioning that has held you back. So for sure, during this lunar eclipse, being that we're dealing with Scorpio as well, we have the opportunity with Taurus being where this is lying, is to embrace our self-esteem. Taurus rules that second house that also includes self-esteem. And Scorpio, we have the South Node in Scorpio really a part of this, where we can allow some of those things that no longer serve us to be released. And lunar eclipses are about releases. And really seeing with the opposition there, seeing how it is impeding the growth that comes from doing new things, and completely new things too. So that's what I have for you. I hope that this resonated, and I hope that you have a great eclipse in Taurus. Bye.